There's Mr. Hasumi from Japan. He's one of our Japanese team.
We have a lot of European riders who have really shown in this sport. What about Japan?
Japan is in its infancy in endurance. They had their first FEI ride, I believe it was last year. They have an endurance club down there, and a lot of riders are showing interest and starting to come to the U.S. and various countries where there is more endurance riding and get involved and ride horses. Of course, land in Japan and the area to have horses and have events is sort of limited. Mr. Hasumi that you saw there actually bought an island.
Wow.
And he has an endurance, his own endurance Arabian farm there, and has imported a number of horses.
Most of the breed that we have here at the WEC are the Arabian breeds.
Yes, the Bedouins used to take their horses out in the desert and would turn them loose many miles from the water, and the first ones to race across the desert and reach the water was selected for breeding, or so the legend goes. And however the evolutionary characteristics of the Arabian were arrived at, they certainly do handle the heat and dominate this sport because of their ability to gallop long distances and dissipate their body heat. So,
I've heard the American team have placed their horses in Florida to help them acclimatize to the weather conditions.
Yes, they all made a lot of sacrifice and went there with their horses for a month before they came here. So they've been away from home now for 7 weeks. And these horses have really had a chance to be living in hot, humid conditions. And I hope that that'll pay off today for the Americans.
Is Florida humid enough?
Yes, it is. It's a peninsula in a sense, in the same sense that Malaysia is. It's one of our southernmost states, and it's hot and humid there now.
Dave, you've mentioned saddles a couple of times now, and I've had a little bit to do in the saddlery industry, but more on the resale side, so I'd like to hear you tell us more about what an endurance saddle is.
Well, you know, in the same sense that car racing has led to many improvements for the cars we all drive, it's a testing ground. Endurance racing is a real testing ground for innovation in all kinds of equine equipment. And as you can imagine, when you're riding a horse 160 kilometers, the saddle has really got to fit or the horse's back will get sore. And this has led to a lot of innovations in saddle design that are influencing all kinds of saddles. There we see a shot of United States vet Dane Frazier. Dane is a very well-known international vet. He's checking the horse up. We get a good shot of the vetting process. He'll take a stethoscope and listen to the heart rate. Check the muscle tone.
It's horse number 119, Abdullah Thani bin Hussein from UAE. Castle Bar Kadim is the horse.
Now we'll start to see more and more horses coming in larger groups. Here we're about 10 minutes behind the leaders. We can see the timers in gates there in the background. The horses will go through and they'll reach an arrival time at the point at which they go through that gate. And then they'll be in the cooling boxes in which their crews will be putting water on them and trying to get the horses to relax and prepare for entering the vet gates. So the time between that arrival point and the end gate on the vet will be interesting to see. That's where some races are won and lost, is how long it takes them to get through that cooling down period for that heart rate to come down to 64. So we'll have the benefit of a digital display on the end box there, and the riders now are coming down the stretch into the arrival gate. This lead group has separated themselves. We can see quite a ways behind them, and there are no other horses. So how many is that? 9. Looks like about 9 horses, 8 or 9 that have gotten to the front and put quite a bit of distance between themselves and most of the other riders.
So run us through what's happening here, David. What sort of
This is where the crewing starts. Each horse is allowed a maximum of 3 crew people to attend to it, and they'll have the numbers that you can see on their bibs that correspond to the rider number of that horse. And here we've got quite a contingent of UAE guys covering that horse with cold water in preparation for trying to get his core temperature down and get him to cool off. Soon a veterinarian will stick a stethoscope on him. The team vet will be doing that. They've probably got a digital heart monitor on him to know when he has reached that 64 beats. We've now been just about not quite a minute since their arrival.
What sort of a heart rate will the heart be pumping for the horses as they come
when
in?
they're out there on the course, they're probably running between 125 and 160 beats a minute. In that heat, I would say they were probably in the 140, 150 range. And that heart rate has got to come down considerably from that working heart range to a resting range of 64. If the horse is stressed, if he's really been pushed beyond his fitness level, that heart rate won't drop very fast. And that's the indices that if the horse is being pushed too hard or not. And that's what this sport is built on, is protection for the horse. Sometimes if they get too much cold water on the horse, it's actually uncomfortable for the horse and his heart rate will go back up. So there's a fine point in knowing your horse and knowing when you've put too much cold. In this hot condition, that's probably not a factor. He's probably enjoying the cooling out. But if too much cold water is applied too rapidly, it can actually be counterproductive to bringing the heart rate down. So there's a fine art in this crewing. They're going to walk the horse around a little bit. He's not ready to go in the box to the vet gate yet. Here we see the Argentine rider coming in. There's Sheikh Hamdan's horse. There's Zulu in the background on his crutches calling for the horse to come on in if he's ready. He had a dancing accident. He probably won't acknowledge that, in which he injured his leg and mobility's a little limited this week.
I heard it might have been tigers.
That's the official story.
Or the catfish.
But I'm here to tell you he was break dancing and something broke.
Yes, I did hear that story, but I don't think we'll mention it on air.
It's too late now, I guess.
This is phase one vet check. We have the leader, Maria Alvarez Ponton, 108, leading the pack.
Isadora McKinnon, she's also from Uruguay. And number 133, Pio Amaya. It's the Uruguayans who are setting the pace here now.
Let's point out these are the arrival positions. The time does not stop until they enter the vet gate. So who actually leads will be the first horse to pulse down at 64. And we can see these horses are still in the cooling box. They haven't yet reached that pulse. It's been 2 going on 3 minutes now. You'll see the horses, one of the first things they'll do is the vet will verify the heart rate when they enter the vet box, and they'll be trotting down these lanes that are separated by these white fences you see. The vets will be inspecting them for soundness and examining their way of going to make sure. Here we go. We've got the first horse that's vetted in. That's trotting out for the vet inspection here. That's Sheikh Hamdan's horse.
That's right, number 3.
He pulsed down in about 2.5 minutes. That's pretty quick in these conditions.
Kaisan Faraza, that's the name of the horse. That gray horse.
Horse moving very good.
Looks good.
Looks like we've got another horse there in the vet gate. Number 9.
Also a UAE horse, Sheikh Ahmed's horse. That's 133 Pio's horse going through.
What are the rules that apply as they trot along for the vet check?
Well, the vets have a series of gradations of lameness, grade 1, grade 2, and so forth, and they're looking for consistency of motion, a lack of head bobbing, to make sure that the horse is what is called fit to continue.
Dave. I think you would agree. It's not an easy pace.
No, she's maintaining probably about 20 kilometers an hour or 14, 15 miles an hour. And keep in mind, this horse is completing, about 98 miles or 158 kilometers here, and still galloping freshly. That's just amazing what these animals can do, these finely conditioned athletes.
She's taking a second last turn. At that point, she's about 1,000
here we got
1.2 kilometers away from the
rider
finish.
From Argentina there is looking strong. We had a brief shot of him passing a water check. I'd like to see where that rider from the UAE is in relation to his position.
Maria is coming up out to the 1 kilometer from home mark. She'll shortly take a sharp turn to the left, and then it's the home straight and the last 900 meters into the finish. It's just amazing. I mean, look at the stride coming in. You can't believe that the horse has just done 100 miles. It looks so comfortable and at ease.
That is a modest-sized horse in today's international endurance racing. Increasingly, horses over 15-1, 15-2 have been favored. And this is a more traditional size Arab, probably 14-3 at the most. And I'm glad to see the average size horse, that has come out and beat the big boys. Figuratively and literally. This is a small horse, and it's got a big heart.
And it's interesting that you told me earlier on that Maria's choice for this championship, a smaller built horse, to dispense off the heat.
Yeah, the bigger horses don't dissipate the heat as easily, and I think she selected this horse for this competition, and she obviously made a wise choice.
So she made a really quick run in the first phase and then slowed down. What sort of strategy do you think she was on?
Well, she knew her horse. She was doing just what it took to stay in the position that she was trying to maintain. And it turns out she had a horse good enough to do it. A lot of people aspire to that. Very few can pull it off.
Nobi, an Arabian breed, still looking so energetic.
It gives me chills up my arms to see this wonderful finish in this morning light. You can see the joy in that horse. He's so happy, as is she, coming in. It's galloping through 160 kilometers in such wonderful condition. There's joy in the hearts of a lot of people from her country and her team and all the fans that love this sport.
Maria and Nobi finishing first. But to confirm that, she will have to go through the final vet check and pass through.
Let's hope we can get a helicopter shot here soon of the second and third place horses.
And you can see Nobi knows it.
Strong and gallop at this pace throughout that last 10 kilometers is another fantastic finish for this horse. And it's a great finish for Argentina.
So it's usually the final loop of the endurance race that you'll see riders clocking up higher speed.
Yes. Yeah, they save most everybody tries to save something for the end, and that's where it's often sorted out.
Saw him briefly looking over his left shoulder. There he is again.
We've got a good parallel feed here. Zulu, about how much further does he have to go at this point?
He's got about 150 meters.
Oh, he's right here.
150 meters away. He's just about at the finish.
That's one happy young man.
During the quarantine period, I mean, he was one of the guys that stood out in terms of training, caring for his horse, because we tend to pick them up on a daily basis and see what they were doing. And
there's his Argentine crew showing their joy.
Vita Agustin from Argentina astride Baraka Altama.